Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture series of Advanced Java. I am Shruti Yagnik and today we are going to see something about JSF. JSF are Java server faces, and in this particular video lecture we are going to see what is JSF, what is the architecture and the life cycle of JSF. So we should begin with what is JSF. JSF is a Java server face, a simple Java framework which works on MVC. MVC is model, view and controller kind of architecture. Now this JSF is used because it helps you with various GUI frameworks. You don't need to have an inbuilt HTML kind of layout for displaying a form on your page. So if you want some rich GUI frameworks, you can use or incorporate JSF in your coding. So JSF basically is used for a rich GUI framework format apart from MVC framework, which is going to help you to isolate your code, to find out errors in your code and bifurcate your code and keep your business logic at a different place, view at a different place, processing at a different place and database at a different place. So you can bifurcate your things, you can have a rich GUI format and it makes your application that you make very appealing. Okay, so this JSF basically has following advantages. It helps for quick development. You can reuse the components which are available. You can create your custom components if you want. You can also use the inbuilt template layouts that are available in JSF. You can also incorporate various validations and converting formats into the GUI that you are giving. You can also handle events and you can have certain navigation facilities. So here you can in general imagine as JSF is helping you to render a form on your page along with the various validations, and you can also navigate with the help of JSF, and you can handle any events, that is you on click you can bring a dialog box, or you can also create a different kind of website. You can create validations and all these GUI handling things you can do using your JSF framework which is available in Java. Okay, now what are the disadvantages of using JSF? It is not suitable for a high performance application and it doesn't have a control over HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So if you want to use these or incorporate these into your coding, it is going to be very difficult to use JSF. Okay, let us see the JSF architecture. So JSF basically you have a request. This request is going to something called as JSF face servlet or Java JSF faces. Now this faces is, you can say, a controller. Now what is the use of this controller? The use of this controller is to route the web request from one place to another. It is going to find an appropriate page where you have to redirect your request from the config file. So this face is indirectly going to read the config file and it is going to help you access the database or the data using something called as a managed bean or your bean file. Okay, so this faces is actually going to read the config file. This face is going to read the bean file, and based on that it is going to give you a various redirect to you to a specific page. Now the managed bean here is a model. Now this model can be used to access the database, so you can say that it is similar to your Hibernate Pojo file. Okay, so it will have some variables and getter setter methods, and using these you are going to access or communicate with the database. So this is your M part or the model part. Okay, now using these two files, the request from the face or the face server face will be redirected to a web page, and this web page will be the view for a particular client. Okay, so this is the overall architecture and this is how your JSF is going to work. You are sending a request to the controller is your Java server face, and this face or face servlet is going to make use of two different files, the config and the managed bean file. Now this managed bean file is nothing but a model which is going to help you to access the data from the database, and using these two files the face servlet is then going to redirect or send a response back to the client in form of view or HTML page. So this is how your JSF actually works. Okay. Now next we are going to see JSF Lifecycle. Now this JSF Lifecycle is basically having these different states or different steps that are taking place: the restore view, the request apply, the process validation, the update model value, the invoke application, and rendering response. Okay, these are the various 6 basic steps that are taking place. Along with this, you have an additional step called as process events. So this is where your processing in the system is going to take place, okay, which is going to remain same for all the 4 process events that I have done. It is going to help or check for any errors happening. Okay. So how this whole process goes on is, you first send a request to a restore view. Now this restore view is nothing but a GUI form that you are rendering on the page. Now this GUI form will be first of all displayed on the client screen, and the client is going to enter the details or the data into the form. The next is, this will go to apply request. Now apply request is something that you do in form of request.get parameter. So all the things that you are writing into your form are going to be applied and extracted from the form. Next they will be processed, means they will be checked for any problems into your data that you are writing. In short, it is processing any validations. Okay, it is checking for validations, it is doing any conversions if needed, and if everything is okay and you don't have to move further, you don't have to do any other logic or any other coding, then you are rendering your response. Okay. Otherwise, you are completing your response and you are moving to processing any validations or regular expressions that you have fed in. If they are okay, again these validations are checked and response is completed. If there are any conversion, validation or any errors, then they are directly rendered output. Okay. If these errors are not there, then output is rendered, otherwise your errors are displayed. Okay. Next is, you are going to update the model value. Now update the model value means, if I am asking the server that I want to book a ticket, then if I am issuing or booking 2 tickets, then -2 count should be stored in the database. So you are doing nothing but you are updating the model value. So this is what you mean by updating the model value, and during this all the processing is taking place. If there are any errors, if there are conversion errors, if there are any other errors apart from this validation errors, and if nothing, then response is being rendered. Okay. Then there may be times or chances when you need to invoke other applications, other JSF file, other HTML file or other web page. So you are invoking other applications, you are processing it. If response is complete, everything is okay, then response is complete and rendered response. Now what is this rendering response? Rendering response is giving back a response to the client. So this is how your actual JSF lifecycle works. The basic 6 steps here are, here in your restore view, you are entering the details in the client form, here you are extracting them, here you are checking for the validations that you have put on, here you are updating the value inside your server if any updation is required, here you are invoking any application that you want, and here you are rendering the response. And all these green parts that I have shown, they are processing the events, means they are either checking for conversion error, for validation error, for any other error, and if there are no errors, they can either complete the response or they can render the response back to the client. So this is the basic JSF lifecycle. That's all for JSF introduction from my side. In the next video lecture, we are going to develop a simple JSF code in which you are going to create a simple form and you are going to create validations on that form. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you.